Namaste, Sat Shri Akal, Salam Alaikum. A warm welcome to everyone for being part of this webinar series. My name is Jay Bansal. I'm the Vice President of Education for the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America. And with me on the screen, I have my apologies. Anyway, so I will introduce, of course, the background to this webinar series in a minute, but let me take a minute or two to just go over some of the housekeeping items first. So first of all, this webinar series has been very enthusiastically welcomed by everyone. There are more than 1,000 participants who have registered for this webinar. We will not be able to accommodate everyone in the live webinar. Once the webinar reaches its capacity, the newcomers will be instructed to watch the webinar on YouTube. Secondly, those who are in the live webinar, please use the QA box to ask your questions. We will not be taking any questions from the chat room. Thirdly, this video recording of this webinar, as well as all the future webinars, will be added to our website. And links will be sent to everyone who registered for these webinars. It'll take a day or two for us to, after each webinar, to process these videos and put it on the website. So please be patient. Now, to the background of this webinar series. As you know, the inauguration of Shri Ram Lala Mandir in Ayodhya is scheduled to be inaugurated on January 22nd, 2024, roughly 6 weeks from today. This is the momentous occasion that marks the culmination of a 500-year-long struggle for the construction of a temple dedicated to Lord Ram at his birthplace. The historical and cultural importance of this event extends beyond the architectural wonder that this place is, symbolizing a spiritual and emotional connection for millions of Hindus around the world. As the temple opens its doors on January 22nd, not only will it become a place of worship, but also a beacon of hope for a civilization that takes pride in its rich and diverse culture. Obviously, it's a moment for all people of Dharma to rejoice. But then there is the other side of it. And that is that it has taken us 497 years from the day it was destroyed to the day when it will be rebuilt and be open for worship. 497 years. And more than 70 of those years were during the post-independent era, where we're supposed to be the masters of our own destiny. Let's not forget that the final victory to rebuild the Mandir was the result of a long, drawn-out legal process where a community with 80% of country's population was dragged through a long and dirty court fight where every aspect of our belief system was questioned. And that's where our esteemed speaker of the day, Shri K.K. Muhammad, Padma Shri K.K. Muhammad, I should say, comes in. It has taken people like Shri K.K. Muhammad ji to be part of this journey, part of this legal fight to bring us to this day. Now, Padma Shri K.K. Muhammad is now so well known for his principled stand on the archaeological evidence that he probably does not need any introduction. However, tradition demands that I say something about him. So Padma Shri K.K. Muhammad ji obtained his master's degree in history and a postgraduate degree from the School of Archaeology, both from Aligarh Muslim University, and a postgraduate diploma from the School of Archaeology, ASI, New Delhi. He has held a variety of positions with the ASI and retired in 2012 as the regional director northern region of the Archaeological Survey of India. During his long career, Muhammadji is credited for the discovery and restoration of many important monuments, a work which garnered him the Padma Shri Award in 2019. Shri Muhammadji was part of Professor B.B. Lal's team, which conducted the excavation of the Babri Masjid / Ram Mandir complex in 1976. He was deeply troubled by the fact that while the archaeological discoveries clearly showed that the masjid was erected on the debris of a temple, these findings were being suppressed by the then very influential Marxist historian Irfan Habib and probably many of his cronies. He decided to make his views public by publishing them in the leading newspapers, noting that as the only Muslim in the excavation team, it was his duty to defend Professor Lal, who was being mercilessly attacked by the leftists for not conforming to their views. Since his retirement in 2012, Shri Muhammadji has been sharing his views on various social and news media. Please join me in giving him a very warm welcome to Padma Shri K.K. Muhammadji. So before I invite him to give his talk for the day, let me also introduce our team who is helping us in conducting this webinar. Shri K.K. Mittalji, he is the General Secretary of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America. And Chandra Bhushanji, he is part of a technical team. He's busy, obviously, looking after the the back end of the technical side of this activity. So with that, I invite Padma Shri K.K. Muhammadji to kindly start his talk, and I will, in the meantime, load his PowerPoint slides for him. Okay. Please go ahead. Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah. So I had to stop sharing for a second.
Yes.
But when I was sharing, were you able to hear me?
I am able to hear you.
Okay.
But what about the audience? Yeah.
Well, audience would. Yeah. I think everyone can hear you. Yeah.
Yes.
No problem. So let me share again. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so please, I would request the audience to please not raise hand during the talk. The QA questions and answer session will take place in about 45 minutes after KK Saab has finished his talk, and then we will take questions from the QA box and we'll address them. All right. Thank you so much for your understanding. So please don't raise your hands because we're really not going to be able to do anything about it until we finish the talk. So with that, let me start. All right.
So, respected Jay Bansalji, Sri Mittalji, and other friends. As we all know, that we are going to the formal inauguration of the great temple, that is Ayodhya Ram Mandir. The formal inauguration would be taking place on 22nd to 24th. In order to mark that particular event, this kind of programs are being organized in various parts of the country, and we are all part of that. So at the outset, it is a pleasant personal pleasure and privilege for me to address a gathering of this kind, especially in America, because we have people from different parts of the country. And this is a topic in which the entire India, except few people, were they were all immersed in that. Because all of them tried their level best to kind of favorable solution for the country so that the country can move ahead. That was uppermost in the mind of most of the people, except very few people. So this subject has to be approached from various sides. There are thousands of people who had sacrificed their life, property, and everything for that one. But I'm not going to deal about all those things. Since I was one of the persons who had participated in the excavation at Ayodhya under Professor B.B. Lal, I would be confining myself only for the excavation part. Who is Dr. Professor B.B. Lal? He was born, of course, in 1921, and then at a very young age, he became the Director General of Archeological Survey of India. He then became Padma Shri and then Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan also. He was decorated by the government of India with all these kind of decorations. And what was his service for the country? One was the excavations at Hastinapura. Hastinapura, of course, we know it is associated with Mahabharata. So it was for the first time Hastinapura was excavated by him. And similarly, there was one more person, that is, he is Professor S.R. Rao. S.R. Rao was the person who conducted for the first time the kind of maritime activities and maritime excavations, undersea excavations, and he was partially able to locate the great Dwaraka of Lord Krishna. So these are two very important persons. And we all know Rama, he was the Maryada Purusha, Sri Ramji is the Maryada Purusha. Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma, Sadhu Satya Parakram. Rama is the embodiment of, incarnation of Dharma, and the greatest forte is truth. That is what Maricha says about him. Raja Sarvasya Logasya Devanam Magavani. So he is the king of the universe. That is what Maricha, who is an adversary of Lord Ram, who was the uncle of Ravana, who was given the duty of disguising himself as Maricha and a golden deer. It was his opinion. And another person who is considered as the theoretical father of Pakistan, he says about Ram, Lord Ram, "Hey Ram ke वजूद पे हिंदुस्तान को नाज, हे राम के वजूद पे हिंदुस्तान को नाज, अहले नजर समझते हैं उनको इमाम हिंद." These are, opinions from two groups. So, being an archaeologist, because I have closely followed Professor B.B. Lal, and he's of course a devout Hindu. But at the same time, if you are an archaeologist, you will be having so many doubts about so many things. He always believed that some of the people thought that all these are mythologies, whether it is Hastinapura, whether it is this one, Mahabharata or Ramayana, these are all mythologies. These are spoken bull stories. But there was one person, and he was an archaeologist, that is Lord, Professor B.B. Lal, who said, of course, there will be certain exaggerations and other things, but there is a kernel of truth in all these things. And for the first time in 1952-55, he went to almost all the Mahabharata sites. In Mahabharata, few sites have been mentioned often. And those places where one was Hastinapura, which was the capital of course we know. And then we have Kampi, where from Draupadi was there, and the Kurukshetra, where the fight was fought. And then there were 5 villages in order to avoid a battle. There were 5 villages which was demanded by Pandavas. They were Indraprastha, Tilpat, Bagpat, Sonipat, these places. So when he excavated all these places, at the bottom level, he got a pottery known as PGW, painted greyware. Its color is gray, and there is a painting along with it on it in black color. So that is known as PGW, which is in folklore, in common parlance, we call it Mahabharata pottery. And this Mahabharata pottery was available in all the places that have been mentioned as Mahabharata sites. So that was one thing. And then there was a reference about a flood in Mahabharata, in Vayu Purana. So in that it says, of course, the battle was fought. Ultimately, Pandavas became victorious. They were asked to rule over the country, but they had a difference now because, why did we fight? We are all going to Kailasha, and all of them started going to Kailasha. But it is your duty also at the same time to rule the country because you are a Rajput, you are a Kshatriya, it is your duty to fight. So they said, let the youngest be the ruler. And who was the youngest? That was Parikshit. Parikshit was the son of Abhimanyu. And then he started ruling. So Vayupurana said, when the Nichakshu was 8th after Parikshit, 8th in succession. He was the successor, the eighth successor from Parikshit. When he was ruling the country, there was a great flood at Hastinapura. Everything was devastated, and then people migrated from Hastinapura to Kaushambi. So Professor Lal, one is at the lowest level, he got this particular pottery known as PGW. Till that time, nobody knew about this kind of pottery. So that was one thing. And then he excavated the place. He got that particular flood line also during the excavation. So that was a very tangible result. That was a very tangible because that this one, the particular line in Shloka in Vayupurana said, Gangeya Apahrade Nagaram Nagaswake. Gangeya Apahrade Nagaram Nagaswake. Tyuktar Nijachur Nagaram Kaushambeyam Sanivatsaye. So when there was a flood, the Ganga river, he stole the entire city of this one, Hastinapura, Tyuktar Nijachu, and then Nijachu, he completely abandoned the city, and then he went to Kaushambi. So he got that one also. So
Excuse
me. His result, and now for the first time, on the basis of archaeological evidences, C14 datings, he was able to prove that this had occurred. This, whatever was said in
please tell me when to.
Whatever was said in Mahabharata.
Sorry, please tell me.
Not everything is not spoken story, but there is.
Do you want me to advance the slide? Please tell me.
So whatever was. No, I will just tell you. Yeah. Okay. So whatever is said in Mahabharata, it is not cock and bull stories, but there is a historical truth in that one also. So, and he has been able to prove it. So next, please, sir. The next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. This is about the Hindu heartland. It is about Sapta Sindhu. There are few rivers that has been referred. So one is Ganga, Yamuna, in Saraswati, Drishagudi. because all these rivers have been mentioned in Rigveda, in Nadi Sukta also. That was the heartland of Hinduism. Next, please. Next slide, please. So here you can see most of the sites. Hastinapura is there, Ahichatra is there, then Mahajanapada period is there. All these sites have been given. Next, please. Next slide, please. So this is Hastinapura Mount. This was 20 meters high. No, no, sir. 20 meters high, the Hastinapura site. So he went and excavated it. So it was during that excavation, he got a particular pottery at all these places. Tilpat, Bagpat, Sonpat, and then Kurukshetra, Hastinapura, and all the places that have been mentioned in Mahabharata. At the lowest level, he got a pottery, and he named it as PDW, which of course, in this one and popular jargon, it is known as Mahabharata pottery. And now you have to have certain datum line also. So for that datum line, he was in search of that flood line, and during the excavation, he was able to locate that flood line also. Because it was already said, Gangeya Apakride Nagaram Nagaswake Tyukta Vijachur Nagaram Kaushambeyam Sanivatsaya. Next, please. So this is that particular pottery, PGW painted graveyard. Next, please. You have again the same kind of pottery from a different site. The first one was from Mahabharata, this one Hastinapura, and this is from another site, that is Kurukshetra. Next, please. Yes, here you can see that figure is there, and he has pointed at a line. You can see that the whole thing is there. The flood line is there, because it was on the basis of this flood line, and he compared this flood line along with the reference in Vayu Purana. He was able to exactly say, pinpoint, that it is here that the flood line which was mentioned in Vayu Purana, and on the basis of this thing, and then C14 dating also, he was able to say that this one, that is Mahabharata thing, might have happened almost during 1200 BC. That was his conclusion. But at a later period, he himself has revised it. So he says it might have been 1400 BC also. Next, please. So this is a very important point for us. Next, please. Next, please. So it was for the first time. Till that time, people were using copper and bronze. That was, I mean, for the tools and also for the weapons, they were using only that one. But now for the first time, iron was used. So what is the result of that one? Once you use iron, then you would be able to cut down a number of trees. You will be able to till the land, and you will be able to conquer your own enemies. If there is a fight between a Bronze Age people and also another group of this, I mean, the Iron Age people, then of course the people who are having a better tool, that is iron, they would be able to conquer the Bronze Age group. So now this is a iron is introduced, and those who are possessing the highest deposit of iron, they would be able to conquer the rest of the people. And Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra, that was one of the most fatal this one weapon. I mean, the Pandavas were having in their group. Next, please. Next. So, next, please. This is Ahichatra. In Ahichatra also you can find, next, please. This is a Shivlinga on Ahichakra. Next, please. We have to skip over certain things, otherwise we will be, and similarly, this this place that is Indraprastha. Indraprastha is our present Puranikila. That was also excavated by Professor Bibila. But during my period in 2010, I wanted to have an excavation, re-excavation of the whole place. But certain forces, that is communist forces, stopped me from doing that one. But my successor, Dr. Vasant Sonkar, he was able to excavate it. And from there also, he got this pottery known as PGW. That is painted graveware. Next, please. So this is, a photograph of the same site, that is Puranikila. From various places we have been able to get it. And from behind the Humayun's tomb also, there were a lot of PGW pottery pieces. Next, please. This is the great Indraprastha. Next, please. So this is, we all know that, Bagpat, there was a place known as Barnava, where a lighthouse was built. But our own, this one, Pandavas were able to save themselves through an underground tunnel. This is one of the underground tunnels of that kind. Next, please. And Barnava was again re-excavated in 2018. And from there, we have been able to, that is Dr. Sanjay Manjul. He is still in Archaeological Survey of India. And his wife, Mrs. Manjul, they have been excavating the area. We know there are so many references in our this one, in our Itihasas, in Hastinapur, in this one, Mahabharata also, in the Ramayana also, about chariots. But chariots also, there are references. We have not been able to get the archaeological evidence. So if there are no archaeological evidence, no archaeologist is going to believe it. And for the first time, this person, that is Dr. Sanjay Manjul, and he's now the Joint Director General also, he has been in an excavation in 2018. He was able to excavate chariots because it was a chariot of the Copper Age or a Bronze Age. So everything, because that would be encased, wooden portion would be there, that would be encased by copper. So wooden portion has, completely destroyed, that is decayed, and he was able to get that this one metallic portions. Next, please. Next, please. These are all the pottery pieces pottery received from there, excavated from there. Here you can see the tools are there. And on the front side, a skeleton is there because people were buried there. And on the lower side, you can see the tools. These are the copper tools and weapons. These copper weapons are also there. That is on the right side, copper weapons are there. For the first time, copper weapons in such quantity they have been able to excavate it from there. We'll have to go back to further down.
Sorry.
No problem, sir.
Okay. Are we the right place, or do we?
Yeah. Right. We have to go further down. One more slide.
One more.
This is a chariot. You can see. Yeah. This is Sanjay Manjul on the left side, and on the right side we have got that chariot along with the poles. The pole is also there. So this is for the first time. So far we have been looking for this chariot, although there are references, but nobody has been able to locate it in an excavation. But for the first time, he was able to locate this kind of chariots. And it is here that chariots have been on the right side. Next, please. And now I'll show you the wheels of that one, the wheels of the chariot. Here you can see the poles here. It is made of copper, wood and copper. The copper, this one wood is completely decayed, but you can see the pole of that one chariot, and the wheel is down below. Yes, that is the, it is a circular wheel. This is the front wheel, and then the back wheel is here. It's a remarkable excavation. Not only for this one, for the discovery, but how minutely he has excavated it. Because otherwise, it would have been completely lost if the excavator was not a very careful artist, because Sanjay Mandil is a very good artist also. It was because of that, he could remove it and he could excavate it without, destroying it. That was the remarkable thing. So one can see the poles here. That is the drawing poles are there. And at the same time, we have got the front wheel here and the back wheel here on the back side. Next, please. So it might have been like this one. It is an imaginary reconstruction. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Again, we can see the same thing. The poles are here. Next, please. We can see the wheels again here. Next, please. Next, please. So this is a medieval painting in which they are all going. On the lower portion, we can see they are all going to this one, Kailash. And this one, Draupadi's Vastrapaharana is there shown. And the dice play is also shown here. In the middle of it, the dice play is shown. And in the excavation, Professor B.B. Lal was able to excavate that kind of dice, that is the gamesman, which was used at that time. This is, of course, a medieval painting of Akbar's period of the same event, because Akbar was interested in all these things. So he had made, he had got it painted, Ramayana painting and also Mahabharata paintings. Next, please. Again, the same kind of that, this one, chopper or chess, and the gamesmen are there here. And the same kind of gamesman Professor B.B. Lal Saab was able to excavate. Next, please. Just see. Because the greatness of an archaeologist is, he should be able to connect both these things. That is what is given in the this one text, and he should be able to get it in the excavated field also. And for that, you have to have a fertile imagination. Here is Professor S.R. Rao, because he was not able to locate this one, Krishna's Dwaraka on the land. So he went in, deep into the sea, and he was able to locate a part of that. Next, please. I had, and this is how underwater archaeologists, they go to the sea, and then how they go deep down, and then they excavate it. Next, please. It is this way they go. Now they are able to, they have been able to locate a this one fortification wall. They are following the fortification wall inside the sea at a depth of 30 feet. At a depth of 30 feet. Next, please. You have to have the oxygen cylinder also. Then only you can go up. And they have been able to get some of the seals from there. These seals are Sumerian seals. So that means this at this place, that is at this one, we had commercial connections and also commercial transactions with Sumerian people. So this goes back to 1500 BC. Next, please. You can see again the fortification wall under the water at Dwaraka, and it is being measured. Next, please. Again, it is being measured by the archaeologists. Next, please. And now we are coming to Rama's story. So Rama's story was very popular. Here we have got the first Rama's image. It goes back to 2nd century BC. And here there is an inscription also which says Ram. Next, please. These are, again, some of the important events that has been described in this one. Next, please. I will go to the core, otherwise, will not be able to complete it. And this is the abduction of Sita. Here you can see this is Ravan, the first Ravana. Again, 2nd century BC, and Sita is being kidnapped by him. And at the same time, Sita, this one drops a ring so that, from which place I was kidnapped, that, information would be going to Lord Ram and Lakshman. Next, please. Next, please. And now Hanuman is going in search of Sita, but she has to, he had to have some identification mark. So Lord Ram is giving that identification mark. Ring is being given. Next, please. So again, we are now, because he is now undertaking, once he has completed that excavation, he thought, why can't I try now for this one Ramayana sites also? So it was in 1975-76. We were in the School of Archaeology. We went along with him. He resigned his job of the Director General of Archaeological Survey of India at a very young age. And then he went back because it was a very prestigious post at that time. During this one, he voluntarily retired in 1970, took voluntary retirement in 1976. And then he went to university as a teacher. And then later on, he came to this one, Simla Advanced Institute, where he was the director. At that time, he thought, why can't I excavate Ramayana sites? So he came for that one. Next, please. I was a member of the team. Next, please. So these are the important places associated with this one. And Rama, once he was exiled, he started from Ayodhya. He went to this one, Sringaverpur, that is on the bank of the river Gangaji. And then he crossed that one and he reached Bharadwaj Ashram. And then he went to Chitrapur, where Bharata had also approached him to persuade him to come and occupy the seat. Next, please. So this was our excavation team. I am sitting down below. I am in the middle. Down below, because we are all freshers. Professor B.B. Lal is here. He is in the center. On his side, Yeah, that is Professor Bibilal. And on his left side, Dr. Soundararajan is there, a very eminent archaeologist. On his right side, Professor Bibilal's right side, his wife is there, Professor Kusumbal
Okay.
Lal. She is here. She is here. And on her right side, this is Jayashree Jairam. Jayashree is from Madras, and he is the wife of Jairam Ramesh. She recently passed away. Jairam Ramesh, we all know. He's the Congress spokesperson also, and he was in the Rajiv Gandhi ministry. He was He was a minister for forest and environment also. She is sitting here, and we were three. We are sitting down below, and then the rest of the excavation team was there. So this was the excavation team. We were excavating at various places. Jayashree was looking after the trench of A1. I was looking, myself and Pandey, we were looking after this one, B1. And Gaur was again along with Jayashree. So this was the excavation team. So what we generally do is before the excavation, we go to the NDR site and we conduct an exploration. So during that exploration, myself and Pandey, we went to the controversial mosque. So there was a police person. He said, you cannot go inside. So we tried to convince him, sir, we are not, part of any kind of controversy. We are researchers. We are going to excavate this place. And just before, we just wanted to contextualize the thing. And that is why we had to. So when we went inside, what we could see was that this controversial mosque was standing on temple pillars. Now the question is, how can you say whether this is a temple pillars or mosque pillars? And what is the age? We have got absolute dating, that is C14 dating is there. Thermoluminescence dating is there. OSL dating is there. There are many absolute dating. But there is, of course, a stylistic dating also. If you see a particular pillar, we would be able to say that it is 12,000 years old or it is 14,000 years old. Because, as a student of architecture, not only archaeology, architecture, you have to study all these things. I would be able to distinguish whether a building is, if a Mughal building is shown to me, I would be able to tell you whether it belongs to Akbari period or Jahangiri period or Shah Jahani period or the period of Aurangzeb. There are various distinctions. And we are precisely taught for that one. So when we went inside, I could feel, and myself and Pandey, we could feel that it belongs to temples. And it is almost 12th century AD. That was the dating of it. And then we could see that Purna Kalasha, that Purna Kalasha has been carved over that one. What is Purna Kalasha? Purna Kalasha is a Hindu motif. It is one of the Ashtamangala Chinnas, one of the 8 auspicious symbols in Hinduism. Even today, if a Hindu, great Rishi is coming or Shankaracharya is coming, we cannot receive him, we cannot welcome him by giving a shawl or a garland. We would welcome him essentially by giving him a Purna Kumbha or Purna Kalasha. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnartha, Purnamudachyate. So all these pillars were having this kind of Purna Kalasha. And some of them were having this Kirti Mukhas also. But they have tried to erase that one. So it was very clear to us. Next, please. We are celebrating the Holi, and I am sitting here again. We are celebrating the Holi function. It is being done along with the workers. There are a number of workers also along with it. Next, please. And then, because, it became, at that time while we were excavating, this Ayodhya issue was not a very important issue. And a number of temples, because when Professor Bibilal excavated from just behind the mosque, that is the Qibla mosque is there, the Qibla part that is on the western part. Just behind that one, when he excavated, he got the pillar bases on which was supposed to, this pillar bases on which that these are the brick bases on which the pillars were standing. Already 12 pillars were there that was used in the mosque. But outside the mosque, there were pillar bases on which the pillars would be standing. So that, I mean, on the western side also it was excavated, and then on the southern side also. So that was again enough proof that, I mean, these pillars were standing on this brick basis. And then a number of terracottas associated with temples were excavated. And that was, I mean, if there are terracottas, human figures, in a mosque, you are never supposed to get a human figure. But a number of human figures, a number of, terracotta materials were made of them in various things. That was also excavated, and that was enough proof for us. But that was a different pity. Professor Bibilal did not, because he had no bad intention, he did not highlight all those things the way it should have been done. But what these Marxist historians did is, they gave us, because they had a lot of press connection, they went to the press, and especially Romila Thapar, R. Sharma, D.N. Jha, they went to the press and gave a statement that Professor Bibilal has excavated the place and he could not get anything associated with temples, and hence there is no need of Muslim handing over the structure to Hindu community. Number one, we had got enough material. Number two, none of these people there were archaeologists. Romila Thapar is not an archaeologist. R. Sharma is not an archaeologist. D.N. Jha is not an archaeologist. Okay, you are not an archaeologist. At least before making a statement like this one, you should have visited the site. They had never visited the site also. So newspapers, they had a lot of connection. So Professor Bibilal Sahab, he had to defend himself. He came out to the press against his own nature. He came out into the press and he said, that was in 1990, he said, yes, we have excavated and we have got a number of evidences to support the existence of a temple before the mosque. That statement was given by him. At that time, I was in Tamil Nadu, I was in Madras, in Southern Circle. I was a deputy superintending archaeologist. My probation period was not there, not over. And I gave a statement in the press, that was in Indian Express, on 15th of December 1990, stating that one, I was the only Muslim who had participated in the excavation under Professor Bibilal. I have seen the controversial pillars also, and the brick bases also, and other antiquities also. And hence, what Professor Bibilal said, that was fully correct. I endorsed him fully. And I added one more thing. This Sri Rama Kshetra, that is Ayodhya, is as important for Hindus as Makkah and Medina are for Muslims. Hence, Muslims should be willingly hand it over to Hindu community for building a magnificent temple. And this one, Indian Express, they published it in almost all their editions and became a very big news. And for the first time, these Marxist historians were completely cornered. Number one, none of them were archaeologists. Number two, none of them had visited the site. And number three, they don't know about the technicalities of archaeology also. And these people are coming and making a huge statement against such a established person. So that was for the first time questioned by me. And of course, they had their own connections at that time. So as a government servant, I should not have issued such a statement without taking permission from the government. And I knew that if I take permission, they would, if I seek permission, they would never give me on such an important issue. So, and my probation period was not there. I could be dismissed from the service right away. There was no need of issuing any show cause notices also. Otherwise, in normal cases, you have to issue a show cause notice. I had to reply for that one. Then only action could be taken against it. But in this case, my condition was very good. And the secretary at that time was R.C. Tripathi. He was from Allahabad. So he had come for a program there. So when I was introduced to him, he said, I am going to suspend you right now. How did you make such a statement? We all know that there was a temple before that one. But none of us, gave such a statement. And how could you make such a statement? So I told him, sir, I did not do it for any kind of personal reasons. It should have been told by an archaeologist. And I did it for the betterment of the whole world. And then I simply quoted Loga Samgrahame Vapi, Sambashyan Kartumarhasi. Whatever you do it for the betterment of the world. So he became, further, this one angry against me and said, I'm a Brahmin from Allahabad and you are teaching me Sanskrit. I'm going to suspend you right now. By that time, Dr. Joshi, he was the Director General, MC Joshi, he was also joined. And he also that we are going to suspend you right now. So then I recited another shloka. So dharme nidanam shreya. I'm doing my duty. And even death is also welcome for that one. So that completely changed the whole thing. And Professor, this one, R.C. Tripathi said, well, Mr. Muhammad, you have done the right thing. It should have been spoken by an archaeologist. You are an archaeologist. It should have been spoken by a Muslim archaeologist, and you are a Muslim archaeologist. But I have instruction to take action against you. So I said, sir, whatever action you want, you may take against me. But what I have stated is the fact. But by that time, there was one person, he is Airavadam Mahadevan. He was a very senior IAS officer, and he was the editor of the Dinamalar paper also, that is the most widely read paper in Tamil Nadu. Because it was, he who told me that you should publish it. And he was a very senior most IAS officer also, and he was senior most to R.C. Tripathi. So he intervened, and many professors from this one, Madras University. So my suspension was stopped. I was transferred from Tamil Nadu, that is from Madras, to this place. So that was the initial beginning. And then the story, the thing, we all know the case because in Allahabad High Court gave a judgment that was not a kind of applicable judgment. It was not possible to implement it. That was the problem. And then the case was being heard in the Supreme Court. So at that time, because I knew this one, the communist group of Aligarh Muslim University, that is Professor Irfan Habib and the whole communist group very well. I had fought against them earlier also. I had a running fight. At that time, both RSS and BJP were supporting him. I'm talking about in the year 1981, 82, 83. And they were supporting him up to almost 1987. And it was only then, RSS and BJP went against him. Till that time, they were his supporters. So I knew their modus operandi also, because many battles I had fought against them in Aligarh University itself. So I knew that they would give some kind of statement in Times of India or in some other widely read newspaper. So by that time, it was, the second excavation was conducted. And the second excavation was headed by another very seasoned archaeologist, that is Dr. Diyarmani, a very competent person, a very good scholar, and we will get very few scholars like that. It was headed by him. So when he excavated, earlier we had got only 12 pillars. We had seen only 12 pillars. But now during this excavation, more than this one 50 pillars and pillar bases were excavated. More than 50 pillar bases were excavated in 17 rows. He had totally 90 trenches he had excavated, and which started supplying a lot of this one antiquities related with temples. So all these things were there. So because Marxist historians they got panicky, many things are now coming out. In the initial stage, they tried to stop the excavation itself because that the excavation should not be conducted. I had also advised Sayyid Shahabuddin because he had met me once. At that time, I said, sir, this land should be gifted to the Hindu community. You should not go for an excavation. If you are going for an excavation, you'll be getting many more material related with the temple. So the best thing is give the land. Of course, you can claim that you have got the ownership, but you can give the land. That would be the best thing. He perhaps wanted to do it, but at the same time, there were a lot of pressure in this kind of Marxist historians and other things, so he could not come to a conclusion. So now, when Dr. Mani's excavation threw out a number of materials, and he also got a number of things associated with the temple architecture itself. For example, in all the temples below the Kalasha, there will be Amlaka or Amalka. That was excavated from below. And then the temple Shikara is there. So number of architectural members belonging to Shikara that was excavated. And one more thing, the most important thing was Pranala. What is a Pranala? Magara Pranala. A Pranala is that one every day you have to wash the donkey. And then that Abhishek Jala that will go out, that is a Pranala. And that would be always Magara Pranala. What is Magara? Magara means crocodile. What is crocodile? The symbolism of crocodile? The symbolism of crocodile is because that would be this one symbol of river Ganga. If in front of every this one Garbhagraha, on the right side there will be a lady standing with a pot of water on crocodile. That means that is Ganga. And on the left side there will be another lady standing in the same position on tortoise. That means that is a Yamuna. So before going to the Garbhagraha of Lord, you are watching in Ganga, Yamuna, and underground Saraswati, and you cleanse yourself of all your sins, and then going to the temple. So this Magara Pranala that was also excavated from the site. So can you imagine that a Muslim mosque would be throwing out this kind of Magara Pranala? It is always associated with the temple. That was also excavated from there. And then one more important evidence, a number of 263 terracotta idols connected with so many, with the human being, with the ladies' figures. Can you imagine ladies' figures being excavated from the mosque site? And lady drummer, that was also excavated. And then a snake was excavated. Can you ever expect a snake from that one, from a Muslim mosque? And the dog was excavated. Can you ever imagine? But all these things are associated with them. So all these were excavated. So they became, panicky. They tried to stop the excavation. Some of the people approached me also. One Professor Jaffrey, he was a close, this one student of Professor Irfan. They approached me also. I said, nothing doing them. It is not possible. Otherwise, you give the land. That is the only way. And many people, tried to stop it. So it was not possible for them to stop it. And then, while Manish, the report was submitted. So now they wanted to say that Archaeological Survey of India's report should not be accepted because it is made. All the team leaders are other Hindu community people. So I gave a statement. Just one month before the judgment of the Supreme Court, not of High Court, I said that this should be accepted. The report given by Dr. Mani should be accepted in toto, because it is not simply a report. Because you have asked the Archaeological Survey of India to excavate it. It was an order by the court. On the basis of that, Dr. Mani has excavated the place. And it is a court commissioner's report. It is not an ordinary report. It's a court commissioner's report and it should be accepted in total. And that was number one. Number two, I said that most of the people who had excavated they might be thinking that it was only professor, also or only Dr. Mani who was making this one, the report. But he was supported and it was co-authored by 4 Muslim archaeologists. 4 Muslim archaeologists. That was one was Dr. Khwaja. He was the director of Persian and Arabic inscription. He has this one, retired from Nagpur. It was he who was one of the co-authors. And I took the second name, that is Atikur Rahman Siddiqui. He was Dr. Atikur Rahman Siddiqui. He was a retired, this one from Agra as the superintending archaeologist. And then Dr. Ali, he's still in this one Archeological Survey of India. And then Hanif Hashmi. These were the 4 people. They were the co-authors of this report. And the question of not taking it as this one seriously does not arise. It should be accepted in total. So this was, of course, never expected by those people, by the communist people, because such a big statement would be issued by me. You can see the statement. It was in 5 columns. Fortunately, the Times of India gave it. But immediately they gave another, this one, report and stated that K.K. Mohammed was not in that excavation. Next, please. So, K.K. Mohammed was never part of B.B. Lal's Ayodhya excavation. A total false story. Because there was one Mr. Nadeem Rizvi, he was this one head of the Department of History in Aligarh Muslim University. He totally blatant statement he gave. So Times of India, they should have sought my opinion. What is your comment on this one? So I knew that they were in collusion. Times of India and that reporter and this person, they were in collusion. So without seeking my comment, they gave this statement on the 3rd day. And Professor B. Bilal was not in India, he was in America. Immediately I contacted him through Neera Mishra. And he gave again a statement, no, K.K. Mohammed was along with me during the excavation. And for the first time, again, these people were exposed. And Irfan Habib, he gave a statement in the Jamaat-e-Islami people, it is known as Madhyamam. Not only he did not participate in the excavation, but he has no connection at all with Ayodhya. That was the statement issued by this person. But for the first time, when Professor Bilal, this one, gave a rebuttal, and then there were 3 other people also who are alive now, who had participated in this excavation. They all supported me. And the reporter, that is, this one, Shakti Shekhar, my reporter, not their reporter, my reporter, Shakti Shekhar, when he contacted Jairam Ramesh to see this one, to seek the opinion of Mrs. This one, his wife, he was informed that she has passed away a few days back. So, for the first time, again, these people, that is the whole Marxist group, they were completely exposed. Next, please. K.K. Mohammed was with me during the excavation. It was a very big statement issued by Professor B.B. Lal Saha. And for the first time, they had no, because, completely they were exposed, because, this was the way they have been managing things in Aligarh also. Next, please. So finally, Babari Masjid. Yes. Next, please. I think I'm overshooting the time. Next, please. So here you can see that was this was one of the pillars which I saw when I went inside. There was a figure, and that was a goddess or goddess was there, but that was erased. Next, please. This kind of 12 pillars were there, and you can see the Purna Kalasha here. This is the Purna Kalasha, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnartha, Purnamudachyaya, and foliages would be coming out, and some of them would be having Kirti Mugas also. Next, please. Here you can see again, it is not from Ayodhya sites, it is from other things. If you go to Qutub Minar, just by the side of Qutub Minar, there is a mosque known as Quwwatul Islam Mosque. In mosque, you can see, even now you can see a number of this kind of Purna Kalasha, a number of gods and goddesses, including Ganesha. Even now there, and there is a board also, 27 temples have been destroyed for constructing this Quwwatul Islam Mosque. And it is there by Hassan Nizami also. That is this one medieval book, a contemporary book. So certain things have happened. That was, during the course of the Congress, so many tables have been destroyed. Let us accept the fact. But for that, let us also accept the fact that today's Muslims are not responsible for the medieval barbarism of the Muslims. But at the same time, they have got a duty. The Muslims have got a duty that they should not justify those things. Once you come for the justification of it, then that means you are also part and parcel of the same thing. So the Muslims should change their way of looking at things. A number of temples have been destroyed. Accept the fact. A number of people have been massacred. Accept the fact. Now let us try to build wherever possible, let us make certain adjustments. This was a golden opportunity for the Muslim community. If they had voluntarily handed over the structure, that would have been a civilizational healing process. There it would have started. Next, please. Here you can see Purna Kalasha down below, and then you have got the Kirti Muga of Lord Shiva also. Next, please. It is again, next, please. Here you can see the temple bells. Next, please. These are all the Quwwatul Islam Mosque. Next, please. Next, please. Here you can see, these broken parts have been broken. Here also parts have been, these all gods and goddesses, flying figures. Next, please. All taken from the temples. Next, please. Here again you can see. Next, please. Next, please. Here you have a goddess is there. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. These are all speaking evidences. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. This is Ganesha is there. Ekatantam Chaturbahu, Gajavaktam Mahodaram, Siddhi Buddhi Samayuktam Mushigarudam. Next, please. Lady figures. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. So I had often, fight with the Muslim community also. They wanted to occupy certain, this one, and to bring certain, this one, mosque in which prayer was not allowed to under worship. I tried to reason with them in Delhi, but they would not listen to me. And at last I had to deploy police. Next, please. Again, argument with many groups. Next, please. So ultimately, I had to deploy police in very good strength, and everything was stopped. You can reason them, you can argue with them, but if they are not listening to, then you'll have to, employ force only. That was the only way, and I got it done. I got stopped all kinds of prayers. But whether it is of Hindu prayers or Muslim prayers, we did not make any distinction, because in Patna, while I was working there in Sasaram town, one Hindu groups, they wanted to encroach into Shershah Suri's mosque. There also, I got it stopped. In Taj Mahal, just behind Taj Mahal, some people, they wanted to make an extension of a temple. That also I got it not only stopped, I got it demolished. So we have to take severe action against all these things. So we don't consider whether it is a Hindu or a Muslim, whatever it is. Next, please. And the Vishnu Hindu Parishad, the students branch, they attacked my office also, because when I did this temple was demolished. So we have to do it. This is process by the Dr. Mani Sahab. B.R. Mani, a very seasoned archaeologist, very competent archaeologist, and a very good scholar also. Next, please. I'll stop it within 10 minutes. I think I'm overshooting the time. Next, please. So these were the pillar bases Dr. Mani had excavated. Number of pillar bases. It was in 50, this one, 50 numbers. And in 17 rows, this was excavated. Next, please. It is just behind the mosque, the western part. Next, please. The excavation is going on. Next, please. And the pillar bases again at various places, on the western part also, on the southern part also. And this is a diagram. These are the trenches. You can see the pillars in all these things. Next, please. And there was a circular temple also. So they wanted to say these circular temples are these Buddhist sites, but they don't know what is the difference between a Buddhist site and a Hindu temple. They did not know. Next, please. Because one of the directors, Dr. Hari Manji, he himself was a Buddhist. I said that he is a practicing. Now you just look at it. And this is a lady with a bust, the breast is there, and with a heavy ornament. Can you ever imagine that such things could be excavated from a mosque? Next, please. A number of terracotta things like this one. Another lady. Next, please. And this is another human figure. You can have the painting sometimes in Islamic monuments, but you can never have a human figurine in any of this one, and that too in 3-dimensional in any of the Islamic monuments. So all these things were coming out, and there were 263. And in order to be excavation very judicial, and it should not have any kind of imbalances. Out of this one, 95%, 45% were Muslim community. The workers I am talking about. And everything was videographed. This one, independent judiciary group was there to oversee the excavation. And then the work committee, the BMRC, that is Babari Masjid Action Committee, their representative and their lawyers were also there. And there were independent, archaeological survey of India people. Everything was videographed. And even after they said, no, there is a lot of bias. I mean, most of these people from Archaeological Survey of India, they are under Dr. Mani. So it is a completely biased one. So it was against that one I had given the statement that these people, it is not only Dr. B.R. Mani, but Atikur Rahman Siddiqui, Khwaja, Hanif Hashmi, and this Ali Mazhar Ali, and all of them were there in the excavation. And the report is co-authored by them. Next, please. And this is again another human figure, the torso of a human figure. Next, please.
Uh,
We can go to the next slide, sir.
okay.
Hello.
Yes, yes, can you see the next slide?
We can go to the next slide.
Okay. Are you able to see the next slide, KK Sab? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you able to see the next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's a dog. Again, can you ever imagine that? I mean, a dog's figure would be there in a mosque? Next, please. Again, another animal figure. Next, please. Here is a snake, because here snake is this one, an abharana, that is an ornament of Lord Shiva also. Vahanam Vrishabho Yasya Vasugi Kandabhushanam. So these things were, and of course, when Shantakaram, Bhujagashayanam, Patmanabham, Suresham. So in that also it is reclining Vishnu is also there. So there are so many things like this one, a number of things, which have no connection at all, but all parts and parcels of the temples were excavated there from there. Next, please. This is the Amalka, that is on the just below this one Kalasha, that is the top part of the temple. We'll be getting this kind of Amalka. Amla also it is known as. Next, please. This is in all the temples. Here also you can see that Amalka is there on these temples. It is just for comparative study only. Otherwise, this photo has nothing to do with this one, with our actual material matter. Next, please. Next, please. In this temple also you have the Amalka. We can go to the next slide. Again, a number of this one pillars were excavated from there, from Ayodhya. Next, please. Again, another type of Purna Kumbha. Next, please. Second time here was a sculpture also. Next, please. And this is another temple part. And this is that I look this one Magara Pranala, and this kind of Magara Pranala. This is of course from this one Bhojpur temple in Madhya Pradesh. You can see the same kind of Magara Pranala just to for a comparative study. In South India also the same kind of Magara Pranala is being continued. Next please. Here you can see this is Bhadishira temple, the same kind of Magara, that is crocodile. Next please. And this is another temple of this one, Hampi temple. Again, we have the same thing. Next please. Next please. Next please. All these are the temple parts and temple walls are there on which it was built. And here you have got another, very cleansing evidence. Of course, it was not during the excavation, but it was during this one demolition. And a inscription which is known as Vishnu Hari Shilapala, it was in 20 lines, and which it says that this temple is dedicated to that Mahavishnu who has killed Bali. So who has killed Bali? Of course, Rama. And then who has killed 10-headed person. And it is dedicated to that temple. And this inscription was being read by Chief Epigraphist of India, Dr. Ramesh, and then another scholar also. And then all of them dated it. And this temple was built during the time of Gadwal ruler Govind Chandra. That is also given there. Next, please. And this is the 20 the line of this one. And when this thing, this was a clinching evidence. Again, the same Irfan Habib came and his group came. One group argued this is a forgery. This is not an original inscription. This is a forgery. And then after some time, when they could not prove that one, they came. This is, of course, this one, an original inscription itself, but it is a planted one. What is a planted one? Planted means this belongs to some other temple, and that has been planted here, just to show them. But and they said no that earlier there was an inscription which was in Lucknow Museum that has been stolen from here, and then it was planted here. And when Lucknow Museum was contacted whether you have got such an inscription, they said that the inscription is even now there, and this is a new inscription. So that way again, these Marxist historians, they were exposed. They would resort to all kinds of methods. They would resort to every kind of method to prove it. Earlier, they had also said, that Babri Masjid is on the Virgin Zameen. That means below that there was neither a temple, nor a mosque, nor any other structure. But when Tojo Vikas, that ground penetrating radar system came, and that system said, no, there are this one anomalies down below, that there are structures below them, they became panicky. And then they tried to stop the excavation, but it was not possible because, it was a verdict was there by the Honorable, this one, by the High Court of Allahabad. Next, please. This is another inscription. So all these inscriptions, they conclusively prove that there was a temple of 12th century AD. Next, please. And these are some, it is a long list, There is a Satyopakhyaana, because, they had also said that it is only from 18th century it became a controversial issue. Otherwise, there was no reference about the temple. But this is a 12th century, this one reference. And there are a number of references in other places also. A number of people who had visited the site also. There are references. I'm just shorting because I have overshot. So in Akbar Nama, the Aine Akbari, volume 3, there are references about this one, but there is no reference about the Islamic worship there. I'm talking about Aine Akbari. And then William Finch, who was William Finch? William Finch had come to India in 1611, and he specifically speak about this one. And then deal it. So William Finch was English. Deal it was a Dutch. And then there was an Austrian, this one, Christian father. He is Stephen Taylor. All of them says about the worship that was for Hindu worship that was going on there. And then later on, Alexander Cunningham and various other people also, their report is also there. So on the basis of all these reports, it was conclusively proved that there was a temple of 12th century AD. And on the basis of that, Honorable Supreme Court has given the verdict also, and that was the best thing. And we are going to witness the opening and the inauguration function of that on this one temple, and it is the result of the 500 years of struggle by various people in various capacities. We should remember there was a Sikh. It was he for in 1857 and 58. It was he who had taken up the post for the first time. And then there were a lot of people in which all of us played small role. And finally, it has now going to be this one. It would be now inaugurated on 22nd to 24th of this month. And let us all rejoice. Now let us come to, the country has various problems. And all these problems, we should, this one, solve it in a very amicable way, for that all the communities, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, all of them should come together. Then only we would be able to build up a stronger India. Thank you all. Thank you very much for giving a very patient hearing.
KK Saab, it's been a fascinating journey for the last hour and a half. It's just an amazing story of a very principled gentleman, a professional who stood for his professional principles and went public with, in spite of all the pressures you were receiving professionally as well as, I'm so sure, socially. So I think on behalf of the entire, Hindu community worldwide, they all owe you a great debt for what you have done. This is just an amazing story that you have told. Thank you so much for all that. There were a number of questions in the Q&A box. My colleague Amitabh Mittalji has been addressing them along the way. There are a few more questions, but we had one of the highest participation in this webinar of any webinar that I have organized over the last many years, and a majority of them still sticking around, which just is a testimony to the fascinating story that you were telling us. So first of all, thank you for sticking up for your principles. And of course, thanks to our audience, people who participated in the webinar. I'll look at the Q&A box in a second, but I have a question. I know you were under tremendous pressure professionally while you were working. Now, of course, you retired. But what kind of pressure did you receive from your own community? And is that pressure still continuing on? I mean, what is your sort of, how are you received in the community as a, in the Muslim community?
Of course, because I come from the Muslim community, and I come from an area in Calicut, and there is a place known as Koduvally, where the 90% of the Muslim community is Muslim community. So naturally, I can understand, there will be strong objection, aversions, and many, people, they were strongly against me. And I had to shift my bases also because of that one, because and especially after the judgment, because on the day of the judgment, most of the press people had come to Calicut from Delhi, from Bombay, from various other places. And I had to stand up the entire pressure from the community and from the communist Marxist group of people. It was really an ordeal for me. So I had to shift my base for sometimes from here to Patna because there I had many people. And then I came back and then I had to shift myself to Bhopal, then Chhattisgarh. So I had to shift my bases to so many places. But the people who were supposed to help me, I mean, that is RSS and BJP, they did not do any kind of help at all. So I had to fend myself because, I had to go along with my wife to various places. So that day, without mixing words, I said that they have not been grateful to me, both RSS and BJP. And neither I owe anything to them, nor they owe anything to me. But it was a ungrateful cut, and the most ungrateful cut. That is what I feel.
That's very unfortunate. So there are a few questions still in the Q&A box, and I'll ask my colleague to see if there is anything that he has not answered. Amitabh ji, are there any burning questions there that you need?
There's a repeat question from a lot of people. They're inspired by your work, sir, and what challenges do researchers in Bharat in archaeology face? I think some part of your speech also already explained that. And
Yes.
the second part of that is people who are interested in archaeology work, can they visit you? What opportunities do they have as researchers to come and work with you in Bharat?
Because now I am in a corner, that is, I am in Kerala, Calicut. So for research work and other things, you have to be either in Delhi or you have to be there in Bhopal or in now some North Indian parts. There you have a lot of opportunities. And I have been doing the conservation of a lot of temples also, because in Chambal area, that is Chambal Valley, where there were some dreaded dacoits. Along with the dacoits, I have been able to conserve near about 80 temples. And again, I should tell you, all these 80 conservation of these 80 temples were during the Congress period. And we all expected once BJP comes into power and they would be supporting us like anything in the temple reconstruction. But till today, not a single temple has been reconstructed during the BJP, and there are 10 years of BJP period. And now there is a temple work which is going on because that was by Infosys, Mr. Sudha Narayan Murthy, one day she rang up. But these people, they did not do anything. They speak about the Gauravshali Itihas, both BJP and RSS. Gauravshali Itihas, the glorious civilization. But when it comes to action, they don't do it at all. So Madam came and I was along with Madam for 4 days. And then Madam contributed 4 crores of rupees. And with that amount, with less than half of the budget, we have been able to complete the assigned work also. And the rest of the savings, now we are going to reconstruct other temples. But there was no support. Of course, the Prime Minister took the name of Bhatteshwar. He is known as Bhatteshwar. The Prime Minister took the name of Bhatteshwar during the election period, but they did not do anything at all. Not a single temple has been reconstructed at Bhatteshwar during the entire BJP period. But the credit goes to Congress now.
Okay. The second part is this directly related to that. Where does the funding for these excavations come from, or is there a way for public to contribute to help the excavations? Because we understand the government is not going to, right? So because it becomes a religious issue. How can the public contribute to help the excavation work?
Yes, public, that is what I said, CSR funding is there. So this could be utilized by the government. And there is a wing also, National Culture Fund. The government should have strengthened all these things. Again, they would speak about glorious civilization, but never do anything.
And there is a question about radiocarbon dating.
Crowdfunding we can do.
Yeah.
But these are all protected areas of government of India. There, you have to get the sanction of the government.
Is there any website or any place where specifically people can go and contribute?
Yes, there is a national culture. There is a wing in the Ministry of Culture itself. It is known as National Culture Fund. So, Madam Sudha Narayan Murthy also had contributed to that, this one. And from there, the money was spent.
Well,
There is a
Natural
temple known as
Cultural
Bhavani, it is
Council.
103. National Cultural Fund.
Natural Cultural Fund. Okay.
And
So
National Culture Fund, it is NCF, National Culture Fund. But in the government, there is no, officer, there is no head of office there. Somebody else is looking after. These are very powerful tools with the help of these, the entire temples, not only temples and other, whether it is mosque temples or Christian churches or the palace, all these can be, revitalized, reconserved, and then we have to market the heritage. Just as Sri Lanka is doing a better job than us, because some of these Indian temple, the Buddhist monuments are being sold out by those people, by Sri Lankan people, and there are various other countries, who are making advantage out of it. But we don't have that kind of creative thinking. Very few. Only one exception I have seen is this one, Jagmohan Ji. Sri Jagmohan, who was the previous governor of this one, Kashmir. He was a real force. You have to have that kind of ministers. That kind of ministers you have to have so that the country will make its progress.
I have a technical question now. So what was the radiocarbon dating of the skeleton done, which was one of your slides? And how old is that skeleton?
This is 1800 BC. That is at this one. We have a Bagpat, that is Barnava, that is 1800 BC. That
wow,
is
4,000-year-old.
Carbon date, C14 dating of that place.
Wow.
Wow.
4,000-year-old.
Amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yes, that is a very amazing site. Very amazing site.
Are the findings and artifacts collected from the Ayodhya site will be on a display at the constructed temple, or what are the plans to display these? This is a common question from a lot of people. I put it together.
Yes.
So, what are these findings going to be on a display?
No, I had suggested to this one also. Many people, including Sir Sanchalaji, because when they invited me for a lecture in Nagpur, I had suggested that there should be an underground museum for all these things. And that should be a kind of, modern museum, not like any other museum. It should be a modern museum. So that should be an underground air-conditioned museum. But I don't know what is happening there. And we hope, they have got a lot of advisors on the basis of that, and things will go.
Yeah.
And now the question is, since the temple is being constructed now at the site, how does that impact the ASI's role?
No, ASI has no role at all now, because it is it's a new site. So once ASI come into picture, there will be so many restrictions. There will be 100 meters area, that is prohibited area, then regulated area. So that kind of system is now may not be the right policy for a site now like Ayodhya. Of course, we have got the antiquity, but now the entire thing has been completely out of place. Now let it come up as a modern place of pilgrim tourism. Not that kind of ancient heritage site, but it should come up as a pilgrim tourist site. And number of thousands and thousands of visitors will be coming. So that is the only way possible now.
Thank you so much, A.K. Mohammed Ji. You have received so many, salutes from all over the world. I say people joined from Europe, Canada, Ukraine, Bharat, of course, and US being the largest contingent. But I will share with you all the texts that we have received. But people are so humble with your presentation. They thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. It's bringing tears to your eyes. You're looking at the findings. And Yeah, so everyone here who attended, over 300 people, they are all bowing. Thank you, Naman, to you.
Yeah.
Namaskar.
I just have one last question before we close, KK Saab. When are you going to visit the Ram Mandir? When are you planning to visit the Ram Mandir? Hello, can you hear me? Oh,
No, sir.
oh, I'm sorry. My question, just parting question, was when were you planning to visit the Ram Mandir?
If they invite me, of course, I may go. If they don't invite, there
Well,
might be some other occasions, because another temple we are, this one, Dr. Kunal Sahab. He is a former IPS officer. Now he is making one of the biggest temples in Bihar also. And there is a Amava temple just in front of this temple. So I am a member of that committee also. We are 14-15 persons are there in the team of Kunal Sahab. So he has been telling me to visit that place.
well,
So it all depends.
well, wonderful. And I really do hope that you are part of the inauguration, or at some, one of the major events that will take place at the Ram Mandir. Your contribution has been absolutely invaluable. And yes, we all enjoyed the story that you shared with all of us. Thank you very much. My gratitude of all the people who joined.
Quickly, I would to say, I didn't want to forget someone from South America. They just mentioned they're from Guyana and Africa also. So yeah, we are covering almost 5 continents here.
Yeah, so this, we are live casting it on our YouTube channel, but also the Caribbean television network from Trinidad and Tobago. They are also live casting it, so it's going around the world, and I think it's going to receive tremendous amount of coverage, even beyond these channels. Once again, I think it's considering the time, we probably have to close now. But thank you so much. We really are grateful to you for the time you spent and the story you've told. Dhanyavad. And wish you all the very best.
Dhanyavad, sir.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to have to